Okay, we are live. Hello, world. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another VanHack Success Case webinar. My name is Ilya, and I'm extremely excited today to be joined by Caio Alcantara. I think that's the right way to say it. Hey, Caio, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, man? Pretty good.
Great, great. So Caio's a van hacker who got hired and relocated to Canada, or actually stayed in Canada because of the Canadian Engineering Office. So we're going to be going into his story and answering all your questions. But before we start, maybe we just do a quick mic check, make sure everything's working for everybody. So, hey, everybody in the chat, do you mind just saying where you're from, or just what you work with, something so we know that you're here. So I see here we have William, Daniel, Shadow Gaming, ooh, mysterious. Um, Larissa, hey Larissa. Oh, cool. Ashwin is from in Germany. That's awesome. Russia. Oh, awesome. Wow. Привет. Привет, привет. Web dev from Argentina. Cool. Santa Catarina, Brazil. Hey, Felipe. Novo Hamburgo. Wow, cool. I didn't know there was like a city called New Hamburg. Hey, from India. I was there for a wedding earlier this year. Very, very cool. Nigeria, Salvador. Okay, Jose from Spain. We got a lot of van hackers. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to quickly talk about. We're here to talk about the Van Hack Move to Canada program. I'm going to go through a quick presentation just because I'm sure everyone has kind of basic questions about the program, and then we'll get to the main event, which is the interview with Caio. But I don't want to keep Caio waiting for too long, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and then we're going to go into the interview and then obviously Q&A. Also, just this will be recorded and posted on YouTube. By the way, hi if you're watching this in the future. Um, and yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to the team and stuff like that. So, okay, cool. Let me just quickly go through the presentation, and we will get into it. So, the Van Hack Move to Canada program, it allows you to keep your current job and just do that job from Canada. And I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks, and I think this is actually probably the easiest and most straightforward way to move to Canada there is right now. I can go through why that is in a few, as we go along. But first off, if you haven't heard of us, about us, who is VanHack? Well, we are Canada's largest international tech recruiting company. We brought over 2,000 engineers to Canada, also remotely, and a few actually in the US and also Europe. Fun fact, yesterday I found out there was a VanHack citizen in Sweden. So a Van Hacker moved to Ireland actually, and then he got hired and moved to Sweden. Now he's a citizen. So all over the world, but Canada is our home base. And just one thing here is that we help and love to change people's lives. And I'm very excited to be on this webinar today because I think, hopefully more than one, but at least one or two people here are going to have their lives changed because of this program. So that's really exciting. I'm not just saying that. I actually, believe it. So what this program does, it allows software engineers who are making over $60,000 US dollars to keep their current jobs and move to Canada. How it works, we help connect you to a network of partner companies that we have across the country who will help sponsor your visa, and we help administer the entire immigration process. By the way, all these pictures are real success case pictures. This is Alex. He moved here with his wife from Russia. Yeah. And when you arrive to Canada after the process, it takes about 3 to 5 months. We will then or contract you back to your U.S. client, and then you'll just keep working for them. The U.S. company pays the Canadian partner your salary, and then you get paid that money as an employee. This is fully remote. You keep doing your job. No, you don't have to go to any specific office or location. Also, it can be anywhere in BC, Alberta, or Ontario. You'll get a 3-year work permit. Will you be next? I already kind of mentioned these requirements. Almost done. Just a couple more slides here. These are the requirements, and you just have to be doing innovation work. So this program is very important to mention, very important note that it does not qualify if you're working with QA, if you're working with design, product management, DevOps. It needs to be something that is strictly with innovation and creating new IP. And we have kind of a way to check that, and we'll make sure that it's the right thing. So, by the way, hi for everyone who might have just joined us recently. Excited to have you here. Cool. Some FAQs. One thing is, what happens if I get let go or quit during the 3-year work permit? The answer is you can stay in Canada for the remainder of the 3 years. So let's say you move to Canada after 1 month, you get fired. Some terrible thing happens. You can still stay in Canada for the remainder of the 3 years. So I guess 2 years and 11 months in this example. And VanHack will also help you find a new job because we also have our tech recruiting business. By the way, if you're looking for another job, just go to VanHack and we have new jobs there too. And then how can I get my PR through this process? The common question. A Canadian experience class. The work you'll be working for a Canadian company, so it does count as a Canadian experience for that. And then I'm also telling everyone, parlez français. You got to learn French. This is basically the best way for you to get your PR these days is to speak French. It's a little. I can talk a little bit more how I feel about this, but it is what it is, and you got to learn French. So what's the first step? How do I actually join? Well, obviously you need to apply. So just go to vanhack.com/move to Canada to apply. But then hi from the UAE. Hi Ach469. Nice to see you. Salam alaikum. And then introduce us to talk to your employer, and then introduce us to your employer, and we'll put we have a template on how you can do that, and then we'll make a contract with them and send them to start the process. Okay, last slide. I already kind of talked about this. We use the Global Talent Stream visa. It takes 3 to 5 months. You get a closed work permit. Your spouse can get an open work permit, and then basically that's it. This is the pricing. Important. We can go more into this, but again, it's all on the website, and that's it. Cool. Okay, just wanted to quickly go through this because I think that'll cover a lot of the questions that people have off the top. But okay, great. We got the basics done. Let's talk to Caio, and then after people, I'm sure will still have questions. We'll get to those at the end. All right, Caio. Thanks for waiting a little bit there, and also thanks for your jumping on, being open to this. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself? Where are you from? Maybe give us your biography and your professional experience.
Sure thing. I'm not going to give my biography because it's going to take a while, but I can give a quick intro. So I'm Caio. I have at least 13 years of experience in software engineering. I've been working for a while for US and all of the other countries as well. I did a bunch of remote jobs before coming to Canada. I got sponsored a visa and came to Canada. And then I got meeting the engineering office in a difficult part of my life that we're going to talk in a bit. But mostly, yeah, I'm a proof of life of the engineering office, and I'm glad to be here. I'm originally from Salvador, Bahia in Brazil as well. But yeah, I'm in Canada now for 4 years and something.
Nice. So I think it's important actually for people to know your story in terms of like how you moved here and all that stuff that happened. It's kind of crazy. So let's go from when you were in Brazil. You got hired directly into Canada, right? Maybe you want to just talk a little bit about that because I think that's interesting for people to know.
Sure thing.
Kind of like your second path to Canada in a way.
Okay, yeah, of course. So I was working from a state called São Paulo in Brazil for a US company, and I spent there for like 6 months, almost a year. And then I got hired from a Canadian company, and that Canadian company sponsored my visa the first time. It took at least 9 months to my visa to get ready from the process in Brazil. So all the documentation, all the stuff that needs to be sent through there. Then applied and got approved, received my visa in the passport, and I moved here in May 2022, mostly for that sponsorship. I spent 2 years working with them, and then I got laid out. And mostly that's where the VanHack engineer office come into my life, because I had still 8 months or 10 months left on my work permit, and I was with that phase, okay, I need to get another job and all of that. But there is one thing that is a little bit difficult, is to find a company that is willing to sponsorship your visa. And that was the mostly challenging part of my journey after that layout. And mostly when I got meet with you in all the VanHack program, everything got way easier to that, because it's pretty more straightforward and opened me way more doors. Because find a company that is willing to give you a job, it's easier than find a company that's willing to give you a job and sponsor your visa. So that's mostly where the part comes in.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really good point. So just for everyone to know, like, or to kind of recap for everyone to understand, Caio actually was already sponsored, came to Canada on a closed work permit. And remember that, or in the presentation, I was saying that you can stay in Canada for the remainder of your work permit. So you had about 10 months. I'm guessing you were freaking out because you're like, okay, like my time is ticking here. I have a certain amount of time to find a new job. And then, yeah, like you said, it is harder to find. So, okay. So then, you were like working remotely for a U.S. company, or I think you actually have your own studio, right? Your own company.
Yep.
And
I
so how
spent
did
some
how did
time
all that
with
work?
my studio on that part, but because mostly I wasn't willing to like commit with any other company because I was still looking for a sponsorship in Canada to solve the visa problem was the first thing. So when I got knowing that I could find another job outside of Canada and still live here through the engineering office, it actually become easier because applying to like US companies and all of that with my experience is a little bit easier than actually find a company or even using my own studio for that. So at that time, I was having like two clients, I think, from the US, and mostly that was what I was doing. I was the company that was paying the Canadian partner here, using that salary from the US clients that I had at the time.
Okay, cool. And by the way, I just ACH469. The link is very simple. Just vanhack.com/move to Canada. Check out there and fill in the form to apply. But I think that's a really, really good point, Kyle, because like if you want, let's say you want to move to Canada, what's easier, finding a job in Canada that will sponsor your visa, or finding a remote job at any company around the world? It doesn't have to be even be a US company. Actually, it could be a company from US, Europe. We have someone with a company from South Africa, Singapore before we had, anyway, different companies around the world. You just have to be making over 60K, which obviously, that's not a low salary, but it's also not a crazy high salary for software engineers, senior engineers, who this program's for. So yeah, it kind of opens up this opportunity that you find a remote job anywhere, and then now you can, in your case, stay, but in general, move to Canada, right? So
For
that's
sure, yeah. The second option is way easier because even with like Canadian companies are very willing, they're very friendly in this environment as well, and they do require some work and they do a lot of remote working as well. But immigration in Canada is changing a lot. So for the past few years, I'm seeing rules changing, points changing, everything's getting a little bit difficult. And with that, the bar is also raising for the companies that are willing to sponsorship your visa because it is a
good point.
bureaucratic process. It's not that we can know that. Like
Yeah.
it's a company, it's a nationwide problem. There's nothing that the company specifically is not willing to do. It's just because it takes long, it is expensive, and they do have some talent here that works at the same level. So why they're going to a different direction? But when you go for like US company or even friendly remote company, as you said, like in different countries, I worked for a company like in Lithuania some time ago. And yeah, that was all possible because I was having this proxy that was able to make that income that was coming to me in a possibility to actually change my life. And in my case, support my stay here in Canada, which is very, very easy, pleasant as well. For me and my family was a very good part.
We have a funny comment here from Igor. Your English is fast as mine. Yeah, I do speak fast. I just had some coffee, so let's take it slow. Okay, cool. Good feedback, Igor. All right, cool. So let's take us to the moment when you, let's say you applied for the program. How did it go from application to approval? Maybe talk a little bit about that kind of journey through the actual process.
Sure thing. I think that the hardest part on that was to actually align that with the customers and the clients that I was having at the time because it is a change on the payroll. Instead of they directly paying to me, they were trying to like paying to a LLC, and from that money we can send that to the partner company. So that part was a little bit more hard to cover. But once we got that settled down, all the contracts got signed, the partner company was already like onboarded, let's say like that. Everything way too easier. It was very, very easy and pleasant. I don't remember the name of the immigration consultancy that worked with us at that time, but I would say that definitely their support were like 200% what makes the process all smooth. Like we had a Google Drive folder. We submitted all the documents that were required from that. From there, we had a meeting with the immigration consultant, which explained it to us, all the process that we were trying to do and everything that was going to happen with our lives. We had a travel back to Brazil for a family gathering that was already scheduled. And based on that, we got able to find a window on the process where we could submit there through the Brazilian immigration office instead of the Canada, and we received our visa confirmation yet in Brazil. So when we got here back from the trip was pretty much everything ever settled out. So we just need to get to the immigration office. I signed all the documents. I left the airport with my new work permit in hands. And everything was solved. My wife came 2 weeks later because we traveled in different times because I had to come back to take care of the cats. So she stayed 2 weeks more. And when she got here, she spent the same process. I activated, let's say like that, or week work permit once I first arrived. Then I faxed all my documents and all the confirmations to her. And when she traveled back here to Canada, everything was also smooth as well. So same process. We just dropped into the immigration office, signed all the papers, and she also left the airport with her work permit in hands. So everything was pretty smooth.
Nice, nice. How did that feel?
Oh man, for someone that was like almost 10 months feeling like, okay, my life is gonna end. I'm gonna have to take my cats back and spend more 10 hours in a flight back to Brazil because of the work permit thing and getting all the documents in and say, yeah, I have more 3 years to figure out my life and understand what else I'm gonna do it and find new ways to do it, everything that I wanted to do. That was like very refreshing. And I would say that for the time that we've been passing our life, it was a very refreshing energy pill. And that got me into like different paths in my life. Now I'm working again to a Canadian company, a very good one. I'm pretty happy on that. And everything was only possible because I got the time span that the program gave me to rebuild my trust and confidence here and got able to like proceed and go to the next level. So I only have like grateful thoughts for that.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I love those like moments. Getting the job offer, getting the visa approved. Actually, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is a celebration moment. Like we can't forget that. Like it's a hard process, not in terms of like stressful and all this stuff. It's a pretty straightforward one. But the anxiety levels that build mostly when you're outside of a country and you're moving to a different life. And if you don't have like these certain levels of security and understanding of what is actually happening, it makes you stressed, right? And it makes everything also harder. So I would say that the support on the engineering program that gives me all the vision of these are the steps, this is what we're gonna do, these are the possible case scenarios. We have this. If this happens, you're gonna go for that direction. If this happens, you're gonna go from here. So everything was easier to like manage the stress levels because I was already in touch with the all possible case scenarios that can happen to my life. And with that, we are got able to like take good decisions and go to the right paths.
Nice, nice. That's a good way to put it. Like having sometimes the scariest thing is not knowing what will, the fear of the unknown, right? So if you know, okay, ABC scenarios, even worst case, this is what we do. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Nice.
Yeah, and the thing also, sorry to cut you off, but
No.
I forgot to say that. Like, I think that the thing with the work visa itself is that it looks like a time expiration bomb. So every time that you look over your work permit, you see 3 years, then 2 years, then 1 year and a half, and then you start thinking like, what next? when this is end? What I'm gonna do it? And then knowing how the process of like even renovation works, and okay, when you get on this path of the visa, we're gonna do this, and that. So all of this clarity that got brought to us by the immigration consultant at that time was easier to get, so we can plan ahead. We can understand what actually gonna happen in the future. We're not only tie it up and close into a 3-year window that after that we don't know what we're gonna do, right? So yeah, it's a big move, so big plans.
Actually, that leads me to the next question: is what is your plan now? Right, like you got kind of you're working on a great company. What do you have a plan now? Like we haven't asked you this, so I'm kind of scared to ask you live in front of over 100 people. But
yeah,
you know what the plan is now?
We do have a plan. We are in the path for the PR finally. So with the sponsorship and everything else, we got able to find a few paths here in Canada, mostly through like provincial nominee programs and all of that, based on what level we are now in terms of like hiring, and that makes us eligible again for the PR. So we are now in terms of like going forward in the process and see what's going to do. But I already told you like a few times, even when you got our lunch,
Yeah.
I'm not living, man. I'm not living. I love this country. I love what we're doing here. Like the life here is way better than I was expecting. Yes, it is expensive. Yes, it's becoming more expensive. But I would say that the security, safety, and peace of mind that I have, like with my wife, getting out to the gym, we're going out for lunch at the park afternoon. Sometimes I go to the office and I take my laptop and I sit in the metro and I just do my work while my stops are not there. So for me specifically, being coming from Brazil, having this kind of quality of life and mostly the security part, and not having the American people, which is not directly against them, but we know that like immigration in US is a little bit more hard than in the other countries in terms of like how they treat the immigrants people. I would say that like Canada are one of the best places that I ever sat down and felt like very welcome here. So not living.
That's awesome. It's like, have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street? You know, when the
Yes,
Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm not leaving.
exactly. That's my mantra.
Oh, that's funny. And hey, listen, the country is better off for having a skilled person or two skilled people like you and your wife here, contributing to the economy and building great technology and helping make better country overall. So I think it's definitely a win-win. That's awesome, Caio. And just quickly want to acknowledge. I know there's a lot of questions in the chat here. Actually, I don't know if it's on this side or this side. But wherever it is, there's a lot of questions in the chat. So keep them coming. We're gonna maybe talk for another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll open up for Q&A. And yeah. Okay, cool. So what were maybe some of the things that you wish you had known, right? So you went through a pretty crazy process. You came here on one job. That job ended up not working out. You got kind of stuck in limbo. A lot of stress, a lot of challenge, probably like 3 or 4 years experience of this to get to where you are now. What do you wish you could, if you go back and tell yourself, before you even got on that first plane to come to Vancouver, what would you wish you had known beforehand?
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna break this down in two little pieces. The first one is knowing where you're gonna go. I moved to Vancouver without actually never setting a foot here. That was a very crazy move. I had a friend at the time that was already moving here, so I got a little bit carryover. But I definitely recommend visit the place that you want to live beforehand. That's the main thing. If you are able to, of course. Now you know that money is kind of tight for everybody. The second part is understanding specifically what are the paths or the programs that you're getting into. Because as I said, like I came here sponsored through a company and I worked here for 2 years and something with them. It was an awesome company. I have nothing to say about that. But by the end, I had like layoffs. All these things happen. We are not in control of that, right? But when I moved here the first time, I also got nominated through the PNP, and the PNP gives me access to PR directly and the work permit directly. Money wise, I was getting married at the time and all of the stuff that happened. We decided to go only for the work permit and leaving the PR for later. I would say that that was one of the worst decisions that I ever made, because I lost my 6 month window of the nomination letter, and I was in that situation of what I'm going to do now because I didn't had applied for the PR first. So once you get your work visa in hand, understand what are your path to the PR, what are the challenging parts that you have to go. As you said, Ilya, stud French. I'm also doing that, even doing for a different program, because we don't know tomorrow, right? The immigration laws are changing, everything, Canada is changing, but still the French stream is one of the strongest immigration paths for the permanent residents here, and the easiest one with the less core and less money invested into the process. So I would say that if I said maybe if I spend a few more months studying the actual immigration paths, I would be in a more comfortable position when I first moved. And the third one is understand the tax system of the system that you are going to get through. Like Canada is an awesome country. It makes a lot for everybody lives, makes everybody like feel safe and all of that. But they charge a price for that. It's a very high tax country. And that's gonna impact into your payroll. That's gonna impact into your day-to-day life. And there's a few changes on the way of living based on maybe the country that you are that you're gonna need to face it. For example, in Brazil, we do have a more strong service, I would say, service community. Like it's easier to find someone to like clean your house. Your wife can do some nails and do hair stuff and all of that. When you move to a country like Canada, where this service are a little bit more luxury wise, if you are used to that, you're gonna feel the difference, right? I do not eat red meat every day as I did in Brazil, because here red meat is extremely expensive. So of course you have more access to like good fish, you have salmon, you have all of other stuff. But if you are a carnivore and you like red meat a lot, you're gonna need to adjust yourself, right? So that are the kind of stuff that are not related to the program at all, but are related to the life that you're gonna build in a different country that can impact your quality, right? So that would be my only 3 cents on what I would like to change it or have knowledge before moving in.
Great answer, very detailed, and I agree with all those points. Definitely get to know what you're jumping into, and yeah, the tax one is important. I put in the chat it's around 20%, but again, it all depends on how much money you make. So the more money you make, the more tax you pay. I'll find. I mean, anyone can Google Canada tax calculation, but actually maybe let me just do this now. There's a actual tax calculator. you know what? Let's use our own. We actually just built this into the VanHack platform because of this, because a lot of candidates were asking about the tax. So let me just put
The
here.
power of vibe coding.
Yeah, oh man, it's actually awesome. Like we just did a whole migration, a little bit off topic, but we did a full migration of our platform, and now everything is just like able to be built by AI right away directly into the platform. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if I can like do this here, but yeah, if you guys can go that link, you have to log into VanHack to see this link, but then you can actually calculate the tax that you're going to be paying with the salary you're going to be having. So yeah, for sure. Tax is unfortunate, but it's how you say the things in life, the two certainties, death and taxes. And yeah, I definitely want to be planning. And one little thing on your story, I was just laughing. I want to share. I had an American friend who moved to Brazil, and he actually now moved back to the U.S. after like 15 years living in the U.S. in Brazil. I think he lives between U.S. and Brazil. But he told me, he's like, I'm not leaving Sao Paulo because I can get a baba, a nanny for my son for like 400 reais a month or something like really cheap.
Yes.
Maybe not 400 reais a month, but like $400 a month. Um, and so he was like, yeah, if I go to US and I want to have the same kind of nanny, it's going to cost me 5 times more than this. So there are a lot of things like in countries like Brazil, I'm not sure other countries, Colombia, etc., that you have. One joke is like when you move to Canada, be ready to clean your own toilet, which
Yep.
you know. But hey, like that's just, then as someone who grew up here, that's just normal for us. Like when I went to Brazil, it's like, oh, you have like a maid and a house cleaner and everything. Like that's kind of only for super rich people here. So yeah. Anyway,
We're not saying that that's wrong or bad or good to have it. It's just different, right? It's a different
yeah,
community, it's a different culture, so we're gonna have to get used to that. On that topic that you're saying, like mostly me and my wife, we talk about a daily basis. It is a impact and a cultural impact for changing from one place to another. And I think that one of the strongest mistakes that people commit is to just think that everything's gonna be the same, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep the same luxuries, or I'm not gonna miss that or something because I feel more safe. Or oh, by the end of the day, you're still gonna figure it out that you're gonna miss a little bit of your roots. So try a way of getting in touch with them sometimes, and that's it.
yeah. There's that's another, I guess, positive about Canada, especially the bigger cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, is that you have this global culture here. So if you want to, go eat the picanha and have, some feijoada or whatever Brazilian food, you can go to the Brazilian restaurants they have here, and then also any other kind of cuisine, obviously sushi and all these different cuisines from around the world. Which is one of my favorite parts about here is like you just have this kind of multiculturalism in terms of people and also cuisine, right? So yeah, if you are feeling a little bit homesick, I'm sure there's a nice Nigerian restaurant or Indian, or definitely a lot of Indian restaurants that are really delicious. Actually, that's where you and I met, right, Kyle? So yeah, there's food from all over the world. Um, just realized my application isn't complete from the tax estimator. Yeah, we just Yusuf, we just launched this new kind of way for onboarding. So make sure you go and complete your application. But yeah, also DM me on Slack or email me, Yusuf, about your application. Okay, cool. Maybe one or two more questions here, Caio, and then we can open up to the audience. How was life these days? So you kind of mentioned it already, but like you're working at, maybe talk about like the work you're doing a little bit high level, if whatever you're comfortable sharing. How was it like that your spouse is settling in? What are kind of some fun things you like to do? How's the post relocation life, I guess is the question.
For sure. Our life changed a lot from since the start and now. The first 2 years, we were still feeling like tourists, even having like a more resident life. And after the 30 year is where we actually feel like, okay, we are almost Canadian now because of what we like, what we don't like, and what we actually like understand about what we can do here. We have a phrase that we use at home that I love. It is your actual life. It's what you look over when you close your laptop. In Brazil, when I was closing my laptop, I was staring through directly a window and a lot of buildings and cars and noise and all of that stuff, which is fun sometimes. But when you spend like 30 years of your life doing the same, for me, it's a little bit different. Right now, I can close my laptop, go outside a park, walk a dog, find some friends, go to a patio, even getting to some mountain to do some hiking or having some like nature around me, which is really fulfilling for me myself. After 12, 13 years in tech, the most thing that I want to do after a day of work is getting out of the front of the screen. I don't want to see a screen anymore. I'm tired about that. I do love programming. I do love my work. I love everything that I do, but is a very a stressful job, and mostly the time having the options to actually decouple a little bit of it and de-optimize your brain and make sure that you can slow down is very important. So here in Canada, I think that that is one of the things that most impacted me. The word work-life balance is actually used here. In the summer at 4 p.m., you're looking over your coworkers, they're all gone. There's nobody else in the office because they want to get some sunlight, they want to go for a patio, and it's extremely well accepted that you can take care of that part of your life and still deliver results to the company. So I'm working for a big tech here now, and mostly that makes the job a little bit more comfortable, of course, but it still is a very stressful job by the end of the day. But that didn't change by every single job that I had here. Every time that you said, I'm gonna, I don't know, take my cat to a vet appointment, I need to take a day off because I'm gonna rest or anything like that, your life, it isn't, and your value, it isn't measured by the amount of the commits and PRs that you're delivering. Of course, there is a measure of your performance, but people understand that you have a life outside of the job and you need to take care of that as well to be good at your job. And I feel that here in Canada, this is taken way more seriously than other places that I worked at before. That is the first thing. And the second one is you need to have a support network somehow. Like even moving and having friends and all of that stuff. I still get in touch with my family sometimes, and I need to like I talk Brazilian with my wife here at home, like Portuguese all the time as well, because it's easy to get lost and just feel a little bit disconnected, you know. And these are the kind of stuff that actually recharge me, and it's different for everybody, of course, but it's way easier when you at least sit down a little bit and see what makes the difference for you and try to do that and at least have this part taken care of. I don't feel that pressure anymore that I felt when I was working to like US companies or Brazil, that I need to perform 250%, otherwise I'm gonna get fired or I'm gonna get like let go or anything like that. I still feel that I need to, of course, deliver because my job is important to me and I want to deliver good results. But I'm not 100% measured by that value anymore. Like I also need to be a good person. I need to communicate good with my peers. I need to be friendly. I need to be like happy and cheerful as well. And we can only do that like by filling your pot outside of the work. That is mostly the things that I most love by working here, and how my life is still going on this place is it's way easier to treat your life as a life here than other places for sure.
Nice. Well said, Caio. Yeah, I'm seeing a few questions here in the chat. We'll definitely get to all of those, everybody. So yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, and also just want to shout out, hey Michael, hey Felipe, Olu, Caio, John, Kuya, John. Is that like a Korean name? That's cool. Marcus, yeah, hi everybody. Okay, cool. And Caio, maybe we can yeah, just jump into more like the work side of things, right? Like you had a career internationally, etc. But how do you feel like moving to Canada has helped accelerate your career? You kind of touched on the fact that you don't just measure yourself by that, which I love that, but at the same time it's important, and you want to make sure you're a great professional. You work at a really top company now. Congrats, by the way. I don't know if we actually did talk about when you got the job, though, so just congrats again. Actually, maybe we should touch on that because it was a cool thing that happened where you came here with your, working for your studio, right, remotely, but then you were able to be the fact that you are here in person, find another job for another company that I'm guessing sponsor your visa again, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like being here also kind of helped you accelerate your career. And yeah, maybe just touch on that journey, because I think it's pretty cool what happened and how it all worked out.
Sure thing. I'm not gonna be like a hypocrite and say that being here in person didn't help at all, because we know that all they did. But I would say that mostly what makes the most difference in my life were the first 2 years that I spent here, because working here in Canada in that scenario that I just described, having like a more human-friendly company that helps you and actually wants you to grow, gives me a lot of skills on myself to know how to sell myself better, how to build a good like CV, and how mostly to fulfill the gaps that I was still seeing in my senior career at the time. I was already moving here as a senior, so the step through at the next level, it's more like soft. So I'm also in a step in a path for the staff level, which makes a little bit different than now, but it's 100% related to how you present your experience and how you are able to actually deliver the results that you are interested. So being here the first 2 years, strengthened my English, me like getting able to understand what actually is important for the Canadian market and all of that, etc. It was mostly watch when I got able to pitch myself for another Canadian company. I was already kind of knowing which kind of language I should be using, what kind of highlights and cases in my career I need to show them off, and all of that stuff. For example, in US, it's way easier to get a job if you have a little bit more formal experience. If you understand big O notation, if you have like all of this engineering-wise knowledge, that is more related to, I would say, academic records than actually work experience. Of course, depending if you are applying for a big tech or a startup, that this requirements change. But here in Canada, I think that mostly trying to upsell my skills as the actual impact that my work made in a company that I was working at the time in the interview was one of the strongest parts of like helping me out to get a new job. And also, I would say that language wise as well, understanding what is important for the company here that is hiring me, that I need to have it, and how I can say to them that I also have that, and I can improve that experience as well. So moving that needle and updating your CV and having all of that experience well described, it was definitely one of the strongest helps.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna try something here. I want to highlight Caio speaking. Maybe Breno. I'm oh boy, messing things up. Breno, do you mind? Just from Breno's our marketing person behind the scenes, doing a great job. Do you mind making it so Caio is more prominent? I don't know. I think that may be better, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. The other way. It's our first time using the software, guys. So bear with us here. Maybe I'm just shouldn't be doing these technical things on the fly. Breno, it's okay. Let's just keep how it was. It looked good. Or actually, this looks good too. Cool. All right. Yeah, great tips on that. And maybe we can like end with one more final question here is what tips do you have for other van hackers? Kind of like what can they do to prepare themselves, and maybe one or two things that you already shared a lot of knowledge, thank you, but one or two more things that they could really get themselves to be ready to go.
Okay. It all depends on what are the companies that they're going to apply for. Like if you're going for more startup-wise companies, the process there is a little bit more, I would say, less formal than regular companies, than big tech companies and all of that. And they do require way more work field experience than actual, like I would say, formal knowledge of engineering. Of course, you still need to know what is the complexity of the function they're implementing and what is the best decision. And like whiteboard design system interviews are very common, mostly for every technology company nowadays. And also we cannot forget about talking about AI because everybody uses it. So you still have to be on the curve for it. But the foundation of engineering work is still very well accepted. Like it's not about just how to it's not about when and how we're going to use AI, but actually what is the process of implementing AI into your development workflow. It's like how you can potentialize yourself and excel yourself by being an engineer using AI and not only just delivering, delegating work to an AI, right? So I would say that that's definitely one of the stuff. And the second one would be do a background check on the company that we're going to work for and see what actually they are doing on a daily basis, what actually the process, what they're trying to do, and get some tips on it so you can get ready for the interview a little bit more tailored for the client that you're applying for. So that would be my 2 cents, because mostly everything that's I've been seeing on interviews, what I did in the past, it is almost a repeated work. So practice. Try to do different applications. Don't pull all of your baskets and say, okay, I'm going to apply for one company and that's going to get work. That's not like that anymore. If it was like 5 years ago, yes, the engineering jobs were way upstairs, so you can find way more jobs. Right now it's a little bit more competitive. So have multiple options, apply for multiple companies if you're willing to do that, of course, at least so you can get in touch with that and save the ones that you really, really want to pass for the latest. So you can have more, like I would say, warm it up brain to those interviews.
Nice, nice. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess Kai, if I guess this is the kind of end of the interview. But if you want to stick around and answer some of the questions in the chat, feel free. If you got to get to work, I don't want to, stop you
Oh,
from that.
I still have 15 minutes, so I saved those slots, so I can be here. If you need me, just pitch me
Yeah.
in. I can answer for sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's start with questions for Caio then. So, team, VanHackers unite. Everyone here, now's your chance to get your questions asked directly from a VanHacker who's gone through the Canadian Engineering Office program on the pathway to permanent residency, which is awesome. And yeah, Caio, maybe anyone has any questions for Caio, I guess is my question. So let's see what we have here. Were there any websites you were looking for when you got laid off? LinkedIn referrals? Like, how did you find the job? What website? Of course, other than VanHack, did you look at when you were, looking for new jobs?
Yeah, in technology, still references are very stronger for like recommendation jobs and all that. I did not use my recommendations for my application because I was really focused into I want to get into a big company, so I was applying for some specific ones. And what I did by the time was applying a lot. So I found like 3, 4 job levels in the same company, applied for all of them, and I was very like invested into pitching me in and explaining my knowledge and using those interviews as recalibration for the next ones until I got into the company that I really, really wanted to. So understanding my options, like tracing a path, okay, I'm going to do this, and that. I'm going to try this and this one first because this is going to give me like leverage into the next one. That was what I did. But mostly LinkedIn, Meetup, VanHack, and all of that gave me a very good network that was spamming some messages around, said, hey, I'm hiring. I'm available to hire if you want to. And that's mostly how it started.
Nice, nice. Here's a great question from Leonardo, by the way. Hey, Leonardo. We were chatting before on WhatsApp and stuff, so good to see you here as well. Great question. How did you go about finding your apartment, car, settling when you arrived in Canada? What was your process for that? And yeah.
Okay. When we first arrived here, we used a proxy company as well. I'm not going to recommend it because I didn't like the service 100%, but it was definitely a little bit easier. So they did a bit of a scoot out for house for us. We don't have kids, which is easier, but we do have 2 cats, which makes not that much easier because not all houses are pet friendly, pretty much for rental. And also just pointing out, if you do have kids, check the Canadian and / BC regulations for that because they have like a minimum amount of bedrooms depending on how old your kids are and all the genders of them and all of that stuff. So you make sure to figure out that as well. Like if you have 2 boys and a girl, for example, and they are a very like extensive knowledge, or sorry, a very distant from age from one to another, we do need a few setup of bedrooms because you cannot mix and match all of that stuff. It's a very, very hard process. I don't have kids, so please reach out. But mostly I used this company and they did a scoot out. They did all of the like video visitations. They send us a lot of videos of the home. I have a suicidal cat which likes to jump from higher places, so that's one of the reasons why we choose a townhome, which is a little bit more expensive but is on the ground level, so it gives a little bit more of security. So depending on what is your budget and what you can do, I would say just research a bit. Right now it's a little bit easier because there's a lot of more, I would say, digital friendly rental companies that can give you more information. But definitely, if you have someone to go to the actual apartment, take some pictures, look at you, or do you have any reference to use by yourself, it's going to make your process way easier. And also get ready to spend some money on the first month because you do have to pay all of the insurances and all that stuff because it's mandatory. So.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really good point about the insurance and the having some savings when you move because you have to put like maybe a deposit for the rent, buy furniture. Yeah, so definitely have maybe I don't know, $10,000 or something. I'm just making up a number. I don't. There's no specific rule,
That
but
that was the amount that we aimed for. We end up in spending a little bit more because of the pets and the ground level thing, but Canada has IKEA, so the furniture part was actually easier.
yeah. We actually have had many van hackers go to IKEA together, as for and maybe we
Yeah,
should
it's a
make a
bad
part.
thing. You rent a big car and just put everything inside and just go in. Yeah, you house them.
Yeah. I even had a success case picture of Ken from Nigeria. I remember one of our first Nigerian relocations. He sent a picture from IKEA. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, cool. There's some other good questions here. I just thought this was funny. How much is your current take-home pay net? I mean, come on, that's a pretty private question, Kuya John. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's just say it's enough. This is the answer. Is there, or maybe it's not enough. It could be always more, right? Anyway, okay, let's not ask this question. Where's another good question for Caio? Here, show your experience as an SSE. What kind of use stacks in your job? So Tech Tidbits asked about your current tech stack that you work with. So you want to just maybe talk a little about that?
Sure, yeah. I think that when you get to the SSE level, mostly the tech stack's not something that is really important, specifically with AI, because you can also pump yourself. So I'm kind of a polyglot, so I do a few languages. I do JavaScript, Rust, .NET, PHP, whatever is needed. Actually, I'm there because it's easier for me now to switch a little bit between languages, mostly because of the foundational engineering part, which is okay. But my background is JavaScript. I've been working with JavaScript for mostly 12 years, 13 years. All of my experience is based on modern web techs. So React, Vue, Vite, whatever is needed for and building performance website is what I do. And mostly is stay up to date, like keep in touch. I don't have my X account anymore, but I still streamline X or grab some engineering topics and understand what's happening on an everyday basis. I do some like work and at home by just practicing new skills or understanding what is moving and changing around. I like to say that engineering is pretty much like a not lawyer, but like medicine. Like if you're a doctor, you're going to spend the rest of your life studying because everything changes. The same applies for you if you're a software engineer. Like every day is a new language coming up, is a new framework coming up, is a different way of solving a problem that is more effective than the past. And by the end of the day, is that what companies want? They want someone that's able to take a look at the problem, find a good solution, and save them money. So
Nice. Great. Well put. Yeah, it's never-ending knowledge, especially now with all the AI and different tools. It's funny how it makes it easier, but it also makes it harder, right?
yep.
All right, cool. Let's see here. Regarding post-arrival, yeah, actually, just there's another question about and by the way, I'm not sure if this is Mobin who is going through the program or not, but if it is you, Mobin, good to see you here and excited to have your work permit approved soon. We have a Mobin, I'm not sure if it's the same one, that is currently, we're just waiting for his work permit to be approved to be able to relocate, the final step before that, or before moving. So yeah, we do have a partner company we work with that will help you rent an apartment. So they will go to 3 different apartments, visit them, take pictures, send you the kind of requirements. Obviously, it's within your budget and location you want to move to, and we also kind of help you prepare for the move too. So yeah. That's something that you can hire. There is an extra cost of about $1,000 to do that. It's a separate company. It's not VanHack. And also we do have guides onto how to move and give you tips on all the stuff like getting your SIN number and all the stuff that you need. Okay, here we go. Cloud engineer. Yeah, let's not talk about interview skills. This is not so much about getting a new role. It's about just moving to Canada. Guilherme Gesser, cool name. How the process works. Well, yeah, maybe there's a lot more information on the website. So just go to vanhack.com/move to Canada or scan the QR code actually here on your phone. And yeah, apply for the program. And yeah, also read the FAQ. Maybe any other questions for Pi? Okay, here's a good question. PNP. Brad. Oh yeah, actually, Brad is going through the program here. So hey, Brad, good to see you here. We're applying for your LMIA this week. Hopefully today, actually, Brad. So yes, how was the PNP experience, Caio?
It was awesome. I would say that the PNP was one of the best programs that Canada ever made. I still love that a lot. The first time that I did the PNP, I got approved for the P 2 times, one 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and one recently. The first one actually was like a record time. I got approved for PNP in 3 days. I applied, I got my process being reviewed, and I received my PNP nomination letter in 3 days. But this was when the tax stream pilot was up. That's why I'm saying that the Canadian is changing their immigration process for a while. So right now it took 4 months versus 3 days of the first one. So it's a very different experience from both processes. But the PNP process is way simpler than the actual application through like LMIA, GTS, and all of that, because require less documents, but it's also more restrictive because you need to have something criteria met to be able and eligible to apply to the PNP. I think that my one was the hourly wage job, which mostly analyzes how much you earn per year and puts you into a role in a kind of certain level. And this level gives you an amount of points and XYZ points that you can use to apply to the PNP. So both cases were kind of that. Based on my annual salary, I was they call it high interest wage jobs, and based on that is how they eligible you to the PNP. So you kind of skip the level and you don't need to met all the requirements, just this one. It's the economic factors, how they call it. So I would say that just go to the PNP docs. They are huge. They have a lot of information in there, but it's way easier to understand if you look over their calculator and understand where you stand at. One thing good to the PNP is that you only pay for it, if I'm not mistaken, when you got invited to apply. So you can create your account, do everything, do all the documents, see how you are into that, and you only pay to start the process when you get actually invited to it. So that is way of like saving some money beforehand.
Nice, smart. And yeah, it definitely is the fastest way, other than learning French, to get your PR. And congrats on the second nomination. And I'm guessing this one you actually took it.
Yeah, this one not gonna let pass.
I'm not leaving.
Exactly. Man, I'm gonna tattoo that phrase.
Yeah. Oh man. You gotta get a VanHack tattoo. Just kidding.
Yeah, let's do that together. I do the V, you do the H.
Yeah, no. My wife would not be happy. Okay, cool. So, all right, a few more minutes here. Everyone, thanks so much for sticking with us. Maybe just say like we put the QR code here to apply. If you're not sure, just apply. We'll reach out to you and kind of talk to you about the application. We also made like a new vibe coded app, the application process that actually asks you a little more questions and gives you a little more concept about what you're eligible or not. So yeah, go through there and we'll be in touch. Regan, can you recommend an immigration lawyer? Yes, so we have our own immigration lawyer that we can recommend. Her name's Kyriaki. She's the best. She's great. So if you want a recommendation, be happy to introduce you to her. Just reach out. You can just, by the way, anyone can send me an email if you have any questions. I'm just going to put my email in the chat or add me on LinkedIn, etc. Thiago Silva.
And I can for sure double that for Kyriaki, because I had to say that she made my family feel very safe and gave all the support that we need. So cheers for that.
Awesome. I'll make sure she watches this part. Thiago, what is the best path for someone who knows French? Très bien. There is the Francophone mobility program. So the fact that you know French, or anyone here who knows French, that's actually really, really great. It makes it a lot faster for you to be able to move here and also eventually get your permanent residency. So there's a Francophone mobility program, which allows someone who speaks French to move to Canada, to any part of Canada outside of Quebec, without having to go through the LMIA process, which takes about 2 to 3 months. It's just a longer process. So it cuts down the time that you need to relocate, and also, just makes it easier to get the PR. So, Thiago, that's great. You speak French. Everyone else, I recommend everyone learn French. We're thinking about creating a VanHack French school, just because like you need to learn French for a lot of things right now in Canada. So,
It's good to recommend as well that they do the French assessment because you need at least B1 level of speaking, writing, and listening to be able to actually be approved for the Franco one. So we need to, it's like the IELTS or the CELPIP test, right, for English proficiency. You need to prove that you are able to communicate in French and understand everything. So right now is on level B1 to be accepted, or A1, can't remember, but check on that.
Yeah, B1. Yeah. So yeah, there's the TCF and TEF tests. So make sure you prepare for those, take those tests, and then you can use that
Yep.
to apply for the visa. Um, and Hiki's looking for a job through VanHack. That's awesome. Hopefully we can help you. Send me a message if you have any questions. Do you still? There's been one question that was asked a few times about English level. So you don't need to, and maybe Kai, actually you can answer this. Do you need to do an English test before, like, to get your work permit, or at all during this process?
No, just for PR. The only requirement for the English comproval is PR. If you are going to direct like express entry or anything like that, and you wanna collect those points, those extra points for language proficiency, then you need to prove you're having like English real tests and do all of that. But the first two times that I did that, I didn't apply for it or I didn't show any English results test. I take the CELPIP test like I took the CELPIP, I would say 1 year ago because I was already aiming for the PR. So I just want to make sure that I have that like ready.
Great. Yeah. So again, to confirm, you do not need English or any language test to apply for the Canadian Engineering Office. You just need to get it for the PR down the road. But yeah, once you move here, obviously you'd be speaking English. And then yeah, if you do speak French, it makes it easier for you to move here. Cool. Okay, maybe time for one or two more questions here. Let's see. Anyone else have any kind of last questions? Isabelle, our pleasure. Yeah, Berkukay, I'm sorry, Berkublu, B1 on close. That's awesome. Yeah,
Elian, I have one that I look at here. Can I take that? It's from
yeah,
Engineer 1877. That is more specific to my culture, so I'm gonna like that. Work
yeah.
culture difference between Latin Brazil and North America. That is we talked a little bit about that on the beginning. Mostly this pressure and everything that happened around like your proficiency and all of that in the job. North America, depending on where you are, specifically in Canada, is a little bit easier on that. Brazil has a more workaholic culture, and that's mostly for me a good thing because when I moved here, I was kind of up level already in comparison with how the engineers work here. So I was more eager to get the work done, and that got me in a very good perspective with my managers mostly. But I would say that in Brazil, you do have more competitive and isolated work cells. So you are treating your peers and your partners as in the work more like your competitors or people that you need to keep an eye on it because they can like rug you down or do something like that. Here, of course, you can find people like that, but from my experience, it's way harder to find toxic environments and places where you don't feel comfortable here versus in Brazil slash Latin America, I would say. But mostly my thoughts.
I figured out how to do it. There's a button. Cool, great, Kyle. I like that. Appreciate the answer, and it's yeah, I think a little bit more, I don't know, cooperative here, maybe a better way. And it's funny, when I moved to Brazil, I lived in Brazil for 4 years. I was very surprised because everyone thinks Brazil is, samba, soccer, beach, just sitting around in the sun. But it actually is like a super hardworking culture. People work until 10, 11 p.m. at night regularly. And it was surprising for me. And so, yeah, a little bit more work-life balance here for sure. And yeah, great. I think that's a fantastic way or place to finish. Caio, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time, a lot of time here to share your experience. Congratulations again on the journey. It's been really great to watch the evolution over time, and yeah, let's get that PR and we can celebrate once you have the card.
Thanks,
And in
man.
the future,
You still owe me one lunch. This is two with this one, so I'm gonna count down.
sure, yeah, anytime, come over and we'll make it happen. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for being here. If you have any questions, I guess reach out to us. Again, Ilya@vanhack.com is my email. Maybe I'll throw my LinkedIn here. Although I think I need to just give me one sec. I know there's people here watching on LinkedIn, but for those who aren't, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And then, of course, here's the CTA, which is vanhack.com/move to Canada. Apply, and yeah, our pleasure. For the thank you, Juan. Our pleasure. Greetings from Peru. Yeah, thanks everybody. And have a great day. We'll see you in Canada. See you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.